Okay, Malek. So thank you for hanging out with us today.
We really appreciate it.
So what do you want us to know about you?
Yeah, that's so cool. That's an interesting question. What do I want? You know, at the core of it, it's like who I am as a character. It's like who I kind of see myself as, and I think I've always been someone that wants to bring community together and wants people to see each other at different levels of metaphor and understanding and perspective. So I kind of have done that my whole life, and I think that's just the way that I like to be seen. The biggest I think what that really is kind of saying about me is that I also want to be seen that way. I think that that's really what the truth of it is that I want people to kind of tell that I care and what my skills are or what my motivations are, particularly, right? Why I'm doing things. So I think that's a big part of it. And I think I listen to people's art and creativity and their emotions and things because I also want people to do the same for me. Mm-hmm. And I think I find myself more on the list on the being a space holder these days than before, but I think I did my time, mm-hmm. And but yeah, so as far as like switches are concerned, those moments in life that just had a big kind of change, there was only a couple that really stand out to me, and one of them is really recent. The first goes way back, and it was really when I just decided to follow my creative path 100%. And I actually sold everything I had. I burned a lot of stuff in the backyard after the garage sale, stuff that I couldn't sell on time. And then I grabbed the guitar and I got in the van and I started touring as a musician. I just always had wanted to do that. And I hadn't done it by this. And this was by my late 20s, and I hadn't done it by then. And so I was just like, it's time to go. And so I kind of pushed myself out of the nest, so to speak, by making it kind of impossible to go back.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like nothing to get, and then it was interesting. I only had planned to go out for a month and then move to California, but it ended up being over 5 years of touring.
Wow.
And it expanded and grew because as soon as I did that, took this chance, I had some records that I printed of songs that I had demoed, and I could tag some shows. That's another band was playing. I could come and open for them because I was helping them book the shows anyway. Mm-hmm. And so I had, I was just going to do it for a month, but then there was the debut show, and then 2 weeks later, I had a call from a record label who really loved the material, and they happened to have been at that show, and they wanted to sign me. And right in that same 2 weeks, I got a call from a manager who wanted to manage me, and he was in Arizona at the time, I think, and he had gotten my demo because I had been sending it out to try to get shows. So it was like I literally took a huge leap, made a switch in my life, went from working one kind of job and stuff like that. I saved up a little bit of money and put together some equipment, made a record, and then got rid of everything except for my clothes and my guitar and just went for it. Wow. And then a record deal and management, and I had a whole band within 3 or 4 months. I had a whole band, and then we were on our first national tour as a band right after that, and that was probably 8 straight months of touring. It ended up being 5 years of touring, so it just continued to go. So that was a big switch.
Yeah, absolutely.
You kind of like kicked yourself out of the house into action. So what do you think kept you from not taking action previously?
Not knowing how was a big thing. Definitely not feeling ready. Like I didn't have the material that I wanted to show people yet. The typical things I think hold people back is I honestly didn't have a community that I could incubate in. So I had to get myself ready, and getting yourself ready just takes a long time.
Yeah.
Honestly, you think it's great because it feels safe, but it takes a lot longer than if you have masters around you or if you have just supporters around you, right? And even though I had supporters in the sense that my family was supportive of me and my decisions, and they wanted me to do this kind of stuff, they didn't have any experience in it. So there wasn't any related, I can get any information out of anybody. I just didn't have any mentors at the time. Mm-hmm. And, I was probably more of a mentor to other people than having one for myself. So So yeah, it was those things, is not knowing how, and not feeling ready, and ultimately kind of like procrastinating, thinking that I'd get ready eventually. And so I got as ready as I could, and I said, screw it, I'm going to take the full leap and see what happens.
Yeah. And
it was awesome.
And then things just started to show up, right? They tend to.
Tons of things started to show up. It was just crazy. That's interesting you say that, because yeah, that time period, that decision caused tons of new things to show up. And I got management, record label, tons of shows, bandmates, just lots of support. We ended up being a really, really popular independent, like underground band, and toured for years. Was doing almost 200 shows a year for that 5 years.
Wow.
It was really heavy. Yeah, it was.
What was the name of your band?
That was a band called Jupiter Sunrise, and we were in an indie band. We were sponsored by MySpace when they first started, and we had some pretty cool opportunities. Did some MTV stuff, and at least had some songs on there. But the amount of shows we did was just the big accomplishment. We did hundreds and hundreds of shows, and amassed a fan base of people who actually just became my family and friends. We didn't go to hotels. We parked our RV bus in front of family houses. And so we built this real network or tribe of family, really. And it was musical family, but it was family. And it was, I have that to this day. And I get messages almost every day from people who I met through that. In fact, a lot of the people in the Creators Portal actually were part of that community before.
Wow.
Awesome.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So where are you now?
Right now, well, that's interesting. If you take that switch concept all the way till now, like about halfway through the process of that band scenario, about 5 years, we broke up. We burnt out. We ran out of steam. Had a whole bunch of tragedies happen. Had a record stolen by a producer who wanted money for it, blackmailed us and everything. It was just real bad stuff, right? And just a bummer. And all around, I just didn't have any idea how to take care of myself. The reason why I burnt out is because I didn't know how to take care of myself. So that caused another switch. And the biggest switch in my life at that time was just realizing that there was a whole nother reality of awarenesses of how to take care of my health, how to be in communication with others, a spiritual reality, right? This real great sense that the interconnected feeling that my actions affect others and their actions affect me, and somehow I can navigate in that and create reality as a result. That came to me. It was like the life was a movie all of a sudden, and I could see how everything was clicking and working together. Partly the stress of losing that community, or at least that project, the stress of losing that project and then needing to figure out and having kind of like my health affected by it. I was just burnt out. It was like every rock and roller who just gets so burnt out, really just has to crash in a bed for a year. But I was like that, and ended up calling up my dad, and I was just like, Dad, like I'd grown up in a really conservative kind of religion, and I called him, I said, and he's just like, son, we haven't known each other very well in the last 10 years, you've been doing your own thing and stuff, but I got to tell you, like, he's like, I've been meditating and learning yoga and meditation. He's just like, I got to tell you that a lot of your upbringing was a complete mistake.
Wow.
And I was like, what? He got me on the plane. He got me on a plane to a meditation retreat and said, start taking care of your mind and your heart and your emotions and stuff. Let's address this stuff. And I did. And I took another leap of faith. And so that was a massive switch for me and started a whole new journey.
Yeah.
And then I spent the next 10 years just trying to make sense of all that stuff and put it back into a new thing that I'm creating.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the latest switch that's just happening for me right now is this like much deeper ability to listen to myself and listen to the emotions of others. Mm-hmm. I've learned just kind of mental hacks of like how, like recently I started practicing this hack of like, how can I listen to the words of another in a way that fills my cup, even if I don't like what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because I can listen to you guys, it's going to fill my cup. because you're going to say a lot of nice things, right? But can I listen to you guys even if you didn't have nice things to say? And could that still fill my cup? It was just kind of my premise. And I realized that there was possible, right? That great spiritual leaders had done this for thousands of years, and it just was under my nose the whole time. But basically the reason why they listened with compassion and empathy is because no matter what the other person said, if you saw them like a movie character, or if it was like a song, or if it was like something where you had no problem receiving this information, you could really love that person. I love that person who's having that experience, you know? And so that's been my latest one, and going like, dang, this is one I want to master. So this is a big switch for me right now.
Yeah.
I'm like in the middle one.
Yeah, wow. That's deep.
That is. Are you finding this new enlightenment of, taking what someone says, even though it's negative, to fill your cup? How are you applying that and using that?
Oh, that's a really good question. Like, so it used to be that I thought I had to put up my boundaries, and if people were basically making me feel bad, that I have the right to walk away, right? And yeah, I kind of do, right? But that kind of makes them have all the power, because what if I don't want to walk away or whatever, right? And what if I want to be in that space or something like that, and so just because I don't like to hear what they have to say isn't really good for me. It actually means that they have all the control over my emotions. So I was just like, how do I practically do that? And just the other day I was having a conversation where I wanted to have my emotions heard by somebody, and it was not happening, right? I was a little upset about something. It was not happening. And then I just basically, they wanted to one up it. They had something else that they were upset about. I was like, all right. And normally that would just kind of like irk me. And then eventually I'd have to walk away and be like, thanks, but this time I was just like, what if I gave that person the exact same thing I was looking for, where I 100% listened to them, and then all of a sudden I imagined that I was like my grandmother was passed, but she was 94 and she was like the matriarch of the family. And I imagined that I was like my grandmother. I'm like, she can listen to anybody. And she's just like everybody. She's just like this wise woman who, like everyone's a child to her, right? By the time she gets to that age. And so everybody she can kind of see as compassion. So I just imagined her for a split second right in that moment. And then all of a sudden I was just like listening from like a grandmother character, right? And being like, wow, what a beautiful creature is telling me this story. And just knowing that whatever they had to say was going to pass, all the stuff that the wisdom of the grandmother has, right? Like everything's going to be okay. And knowing that this person can just vent what they have to say. And then I was just in this grandmother's space, and it filled my cup up. Wow. I didn't even have to talk about what I wanted to say, because the whole time what I was looking for was someone to be that way with me. And by doing that, I proved that it's possible. And I even proved that that's the kind of character that I am, right? So that's been my latest thing. And I'm just learning that one.
Wow,
and practicing it. Now I'm practicing it. And every switch comes with an epiphany that you usually were working on for a while, and then realized you're working on it. And then after that, it's practicing that thing you learned.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yes. That's so true. Wow.
Right? It's got a lead up, and then a climactic moment, and then a devotion after that. So all the switch moments have that.
Exactly. So what would you say to someone that's kind of like just hanging, tottering by making that switch or not?
I'll say, at least personally, every time that I've had to make a switch in something, started out with me wanting something to change, whether I really knew what it was consciously or just felt it, wanted something to change. And at the moment it changed was when I gave myself the thing that I was hoping my environment would give to me. Okay. In that buildup of tension toward that switch, I'm usually internally complaining like, oh, I'm not getting I don't have what I want, right? I don't have what I want. Mm-hmm. And then very subtly being helpless to that. Like, I don't know how to get it, or I can't, some belief that prevents me from doing it. So at the moment of switch, for me, every single time is when I went, wait a minute, I'm going to do this myself. Yeah. Even if that means listen to myself like the grandmother would listen to me, right? When the little kid just needs to push, even if it's just being able to sit in those two characters of the, inside of my own mind, right? Externally, it might be something like, if I want to be like in the experience with with going off and being on I was really wanting a band, right? But I couldn't find a band. And so instead of waiting helplessly for a band, I said, screw it, sold all my stuff out, went solo playing music. had a band 2 months, 3 months later.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and before that, I hadn't. You know, it was really hard to keep one together. This one stayed together the whole time, and we rocked it.
Wow.
So I think it's the same. I think the answer to that question is I basically give myself that which I'm begging the environment or the universe to give to me. I just own it and give it to myself.
Yeah. Why wait? Because we are really we're writing our own story, whether we know it or not. We're writing it. So,
It's so true.
awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's so true.
Well, I thank you for your time. This was beautiful.
Definitely. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate being able to tell these stories. Thank you.
And if you ever need anything from us, please let us know. For sure.
Absolutely. I had a really good meeting today with a company who may partner with the Creators Portal.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit, actually, if you would like.
Totally.
Because I think that what you and Katie have inside of the portal is amazing.
It's unique.
And so many people out there that have dreams and aspirations can benefit from the community that you guys are building. So we kind of like you to talk a little bit about that and how they can maybe find out a little bit more. That's okay.
For sure. The Creators Portal is a club for creators on a mission, right? So we know who that is, and that's you guys, right? And that's basically creative people who, whatever medium of creativity that they use, from everything from entrepreneurialism to art and music, whatever is in between, the creators of the world, the inventors, all of us folks that are on the edge of this progressive thinking on how to create a world that we can all live in. Those are the people who are part of our community. And what I knew everybody needed was financial safety, creative collaboration, and exposure for their missions. So we wanted to create a community that would support everyone individually on that, as well as the whole group having the same mission, ultimately. So we've built ways to have, like in the affiliate system open soon, and that's a way to build passive income so that there's a basic income for you as a creator, and that you can then focus all your attention on creativity, and you guys understand how that works. And once you're in that spot where you're safe, then you can start collaborating with others. So then the community also gives us that space for us collaborating with others and cross-promoting each other so that we have more exposure. On top of that, we've made deals with other bigger companies, and we're about to be able to open up some of those deals. But in the narrative of the Creators Portal, in the future, it all turns into a multi-channel network, and there's existing millions of eyeballs that are ready to see the creators' missions. So we weren't building a business. We were building a funnel system towards other businesses and a funnel system for our community that we already love to get basic income and get their messages out into the world, and a way to organize that. So, we've done it, and there's a lot of growth yet to happen for the Creators Portal, and there's 2 or 3 other companies that'll be partnering with us, and eventually it'll merge as part of a much bigger operation. So everybody getting in now, they've got good intuition, because this is definitely future model for how creative economies will work.
Yeah.
And we'll have an affiliate members store, and including in the future, maybe sooner than later. It looks like we might even be able to do this sooner than we think. Even an economy internalized and currency that we can exchange with each other. We can kind of take the creatives out of that square old industrial system that meant that if you were an ADD artist with lots of inspiration and vision, you have to take medication and you have to be in a box and you have to suffer doing the same thing over and over in your restless boredom. We were like, okay, that's got to change, because there's a whole class of brains, there's a whole class of biologies on our planet that don't work that way. They're healers, and they're creatives and entrepreneurs, and we call them all creators. And we wanted them in an ecosystem that actually supported their minds being able to go like this, and yet they were supported in a basic income, and yet they were supported in the possibility of big income if their message really resonates. And so it's here, and it's working. We knew it was going to work because we knew this was how the brains inside the portal were going to already work. So we don't consider this us as much as just a recognition of how y'all work. We mostly see you guys, and we just want to give you guys the space that makes you thrive and happy, and is safe. And that way we're going to change the global narrative. Imagine in the future, we've got 10,000 creators, all with basic incomes, all working together on media initiatives that we can choose, rallying, and all of us have audiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Powerful.
Yeah.
It's coming. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And fortunately, some other bigwigs in the industry also believe it's coming too, and they're observers of the Creators Portal as well. And so we're in good hands. We're surrounded by resources and support that I think are going to make this thing bounce. You guys are key characters, though. I wanted to say you guys represent a whole archetype of characters that's coming through. You know, Power Couple kind of came up on your own. Scrapping.
Yeah. Hustle.
Responsible.
Getting it done.
Yeah.
Getting it done.
So if anybody wanted to know more about the Creators Portal, about Malek, how could they find you? How can they find the Creators
For sure. The Creators Portal, just go to thecreatorsportal.com. Thecreatorsportal.com gives you all the current information. Best way to get to know me and everybody, though, is just to friend me on Facebook, send some messages. I like being personal with people, or find me on Instagram or whatever. And let's just actually have conversations. At the end of the day, the whole mission is for us to increase connection, empathy, and a feeling of true connection. It's good chemicals. It's good stories. I like that way to live. That's how I choose. It's what I want to choose, you know, and we want to do it at scale.
Yeah.
Because we kind of think, imagine if we did it at scale.
Oh, it's,
you know,
goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
The
amazing.
globe changes in a different way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
What would be the one takeaway you would want someone to walk away with from your message today?
oh, that they're taken care of, that it's safe for them to express themselves right now. It's safe for them to go for that mission. You are safe right now. That there's so much resource out there, and there's so many. If you're feeling the calling, now is the time, right? Now is the time. And I'm telling you this, it gives me the chills, because every bit of data I have, and all of the perspective and all the experiences that I've had within these different worlds in entertainment and media and tech, and in politics and other like large scale social kind of experiments, everything is pointing to the same thing. We are either going to crash and burn as a planet, or we're going to reorganize.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a great reorganizing right now. If you understand the positive like potential in the great reorganizing, jump in and bring your message and bring your effort to it. We need as many people as we possibly can right now, because we're not at critical mass. We're not at critical mass of population yet to do this. And there are numbers here. A lot of us are tracking the actual numbers. And so there is, now is your time. Now is your time to bring your message to the world. Now is the time to bring your gift, your invention, your art, your words, yourself. Now is the time. We need you now.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh,
You
that
heard
was
it.
awesome.
You heard it from Malek. Now is the
Yeah.
time. So
Now is the time.
let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
For sure, guys.
Really appreciate it. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys too.